For 700 years, from the founding of the city in 753 BC until the death of Augustus in 14 AD, Rome was ruled by kings, 7 in all. The last 7 kings were expelled by a group of aristocrats known as the patricians. They established a republic which would endure for the next 185 years. During this time, Rome expanded from a small village on the Tiber River to one of the greatest cities in the ancient world. It was during the Republic that Rome conquered Italy, defeated Carthage, and became a Mediterranean power. However, as Roman territory expanded, so did the number of slaves Rome held. Slavery in Rome was a way of life. Slaves were considered property and were bought and sold like any other commodity. They could be used as domestic servants or laborers on plantations or in mines. Slaves were also commonly used as gladiators in the Roman arenas. In the bustling markets of ancient Rome, merchants hawked their wares to an assortment of customers, both human and otherwise. Among them might be seen a slave, perhaps bearing the marks of his servitude, walking behind a mistress or master, eyes downcast. Some slaves were born into their condition. Others had been captured in wars across the Mediterranean. Regardless of how they came to be in Roman chains, these individuals were considered property, bought and sold at markets like cattle. Some might serve in the homes of wealthy Romans, attending to the whims of their masters and mistresses. Others might find themselves toiling in the fields or enduring the dark depths of a mine. Though their lives were shaped by hardship and restriction, these enslaved people were not merely passive victims. They developed their own culture, forged bonds of community, and occasionally even found avenues for resistance. In a society that stripped them of their rights and freedoms, they sought to preserve their humanity, demonstrating the tenacity of the human spirit even in the darkest of times. In the sprawling heart of Rome, nestled amidst the grand palaces and bustling marketplaces, lay the infamous Suburra, a neighborhood notorious for its overcrowding and squalid conditions. Here, narrow winding streets teemed with life, housing a dense population of both freed and enslaved people. The Suburra was not a place of privilege. Its inhabitants, many of whom were crammed into dimly lit insulae or apartment blocks, lived lives marked by hardship and struggle. Yet within this crucible of adversity, a sense of community flourished. Neighbors relied on one another for support, sharing not only the burdens of daily life. The Suburra was also a melting pot of cultures. Enslaved individuals from across the vast reaches of the Roman Empire found themselves here, bringing with them the tapestry of traditions and languages that enrich the neighborhood's cultural landscape. Despite the suffocating poverty and limited access to basic services, the Suburra was a testament to the resilience of the human spirit. Its residents, though grappling with the challenges of their time, managed to forge a sense of belonging and camaraderie that transcended their difficult circumstances. Spartacus was born into this environment, the son of a Thracian father and a mother who was likely a former slave herself. His story, though lost to the annals of history before being immortalized in literature, was likely one of toil and struggle. As a gladiator, Spartacus would have been confined to the training grounds of Capua, a notorious school for the violent art of combat. There, amidst the clash of steel and the dust of the arena, he learned the skills that would later make him famous. Under the harsh tutelage of his trainers, he honed his fighting abilities, mastering the use of weapons and battle tactics that would become his tools of rebellion. The years in Capua were not just about honing his physical skills. They were also a crucible of endurance, instilling in Spartacus a sense of discipline and resilience that would prove invaluable. When he led his slave revolt against the Roman Republic, his early life and experiences in Capua laid the foundation for the leader he would become. They instilled in him the values of resistance and liberation, shaping him into the iconic figure whose name has become synonymous with courage in the face of oppression. Our next stop takes us to the town of Pompeii. On the morning of September 19th, 79 AD, the people of Pompeii awoke to a beautiful sunny day. Little did they know that within hours their lives would be cut short by a catastrophic volcanic eruption. Mount Vesuvius, which looms over the city, unleashed a torrent of ash and pumice, burying Pompeii under a thick layer of debris. The event, which also affected the neighboring towns of Herculaneum and Stabia, remains one of the most well-documented disasters in ancient history. The eruption of Vesuvius was a cataclysmic event that not only brought an abrupt end to the lives of the people of Pompeii, but also left an indelible mark on the course of history. The eruption, which reached an estimated 32 kilometers into the air, was one of the largest in recorded history. The force of the explosion was so great that it could be heard as far away as Athens, nearly 160 kilometers from Naples. One of the most remarkable aspects of the Pompeii disaster is the level of detail that has been preserved. The city, which was buried under a thick layer of ash and pumice, has provided an unparalleled glimpse into the daily life of the ancient Romans. The eruption not only preserved the city in a state of suspended animation, but also protected it from the ravages of time. This has allowed modern archaeologists to uncover a wealth of information about Roman life, including the layout of the city, its infrastructure, and the everyday objects and artifacts that once populated it. As we explore the ruins of Pompeii today, we are transported back in time to a world that is both familiar and strange. The preserved ruins of buildings, the imprint of bodies in the ash, and the remnants of daily life all contribute to a haunting tableau that is both tragic and unforgettable. The disaster not only had a profound impact on the people of Pompeii, but also on the surrounding region. The eruption of Vesuvius led to the deaths of thousands of people and caused widespread destruction and economic disruption. The nearby city of Naples, which had close ties to Pompeii, was also affected, along with other settlements in the region. The eruption of Vesuvius is a stark reminder of the awesome power of nature and the fragility of human life. The disaster not only had a profound impact on the people of Pompeii, but also on the course of human history. The preservation of the city has provided an unparalleled window into ancient Roman life, and the eruption itself has served as a warning of the potential dangers of living in a world of fire and brimstone. Just outside the city gates, the gymnasium bustled with activity. Young Romans, both slave and free, practiced their athletic skills under the watchful eyes of their trainers. Inside the structure, the air was filled with the sounds of exertion and encouragement, as the rhythmic exercises echoed through the halls. For some, the gymnasium was a place of competition and striving for excellence. For others, it was a social hub where friendships were forged and alliances made. The gymnasium was not just a place of physical training, but also of mental and moral discipline. The emphasis on balance, moderation, and self-control extended beyond the realm of athletics and permeated various aspects of Roman life. On the opposite side of town, ensconced within the embrace of luxurious villas, lived the patricians. These individuals belonged to the elite class of Roman society. Their lives were a tapestry of leisure and indulgence set against the backdrop of vast fortunes and exclusive privileges. The patricians enjoyed the finest material comforts, from sumptuous feasts to exquisite works of art that adorned their homes. Their days were often spent in the pursuit of pleasure, whether it was in the company of fellow partygoers at the gladiator games or in the quiet solitude of their manicured gardens. Within the walls of their elegant dining rooms, the aroma of roasted meats mingled with the scent of exotic spices, creating a symphony of fragrance that tantalized the senses. The centerpiece of these lavish banquets was the abundance of food. Platters piled high with succulent meats. Plump grapes and fresh figs were not just a feast for the eyes, but also a symbol of wealth and power. The ingredients often sourced from distant lands, including grains from Egypt, fish from the Atlantic, and fruits from the far corners of the empire. The extravagance of the Roman banquets was not limited to the food. The presentation was equally important, with each dish meticulously arranged to showcase the chef's skills and the host's opulence. The glassware, often crafted from precious metals like silver and gold, added a touch of luxury to every pour. The lives of the patricians were marked by a deep sense of entitlement and privilege. They believed that their elevated status was not just a matter of fortune, but of divine right. This belief was reinforced by their control over the political system, which ensured that the power remained concentrated in their hands. The patricians were the architects of Rome's social hierarchy, and their influence permeated every aspect of Roman life. Their decisions, often made behind closed doors in exclusive gatherings, had far-reaching consequences for the rest of society. They held the reins of power, shaping the laws, policies, and events that would affect the lives of millions. Let us pause for a moment and reflect on the tales we've shared. The lives of the enslaved and the excesses of the patricians offer a stark contrast, revealing the deep fissures within Roman society. We've witnessed the strength and resilience of those in chains and the unbridled luxury of the elite. Now, as we bring our journey to a close, consider this. What does the story of Rome teach us about power, inequality, and the human spirit? Feel free to share your thoughts and insights. Our reflections may resonate with others who, like us, are captivated by the echoes of history. Welcome back. Today we're going to talk about life as a slave in ancient Rome. If that sounds like something that you'd be interested in, then please subscribe. So let's just dive right into this. Okay, so picture yourself if you can. It's dawn in ancient Rome. The streets are still, the first light of the sun spilling over tiled roofs and narrow alleys. Most of the citizens probably still asleep under their blankets. But meanwhile, somewhere in the city, or maybe out in the countryside, a slave is already up. For them, there is no choice, no lingering in bed. There is only duty. Slavery in Rome was not a single experience. It wasn't the same for everyone. Some were busy in a household, polishing marble floors and carrying jugs of water. Others were out in the countryside, tending crops, bending beneath the weight of grain or grapes. And others, the really unfortunate ones, were sent to the mines. It was in those dark caverns of earth that existence got its harshest. Now, imagine you're in one of those mines. You wake up before sunrise, the air heavy with dust. Your master, he calls you and your fellow slaves and tells you the quota you need to fill. It's the same every day. You know it well. You go to the bathroom, wash your face in the dark, try to brush the dirt out of your hair, eat whatever rations you have. Sometimes it's just bread, sometimes a thin porridge, rarely meat. Then you grab your tools and follow the other slaves into the darkness. Inside the mine, the only light comes from flickering oil lamps, hanging from beams far overhead. The shafts are narrow and low, forcing you to stoop as you walk. The walls are damp and uneven, dripping water that mingles with the dust, coating your skin and mouth alike. Your fellow slaves, they move with practiced ease, hauling baskets of rock from deep within the tunnels. The work goes on in silence, punctuated only by the clink of metal striking stone. Hours pass, your muscles ache. Still, you do not stop. You are a machine now, tirelessly hauling, chiseling, carrying. And if you falter, if you drop your basket or let your tools slip, there is punishment waiting. A sharp word, a stinging blow. Once in a while, you hear the scrape of a sandal on stone behind you. One of the guards, they're watching you. The tunnels stretch into endless darkness, branching and turning. You do not know where you are, cannot tell up from down. All you know is the feel of rough stone beneath your fingertips, the drip of water echoing in the silence. At times, you think you see a flicker of movement in the gloom, a shadow that vanishes when you look again. Your imagination plays tricks on you. Here, time is measured by the lamps being refilled or replaced, by the changing temperature as night creeps in and wraps the tunnels in a heavy cloak of darkness. Sleep, when it comes, is a welcome oblivion, wrapping around you like a blanket, muffling the sounds of labor. Even dreams cannot touch the darkness of this place. So you sleep and dream of daylight, of the feel of sun on your skin and wind in your hair, of the taste of fresh fruit and the sound of birdsong. You awaken slowly, your body protesting the endless cycle of labor and rest. You don't remember much of your life before here, but you know there was more than this. More than the smell of stale sweat and dust, more than the drip, drip, drip of water, more than the gnawing emptiness in your stomach. Back then, you were someone's son or daughter, someone's brother or sister. Maybe you had a mother who sang you songs. Maybe you had a home, a real home, with a roof of thatch and walls of brick. But here in the mines, you are just a number. You have no name, only the one your master calls you by. Sometimes you wonder why you're here, what crime you committed to deserve this life. You were just a child when they took you from your village, sold you to the highest bidder. Do they remember you? Do they think of you sometimes, wondering how you are, if you're alive, if you're well? Or have you faded into a memory like the whisper of a dream? Your work ends late in the afternoon. They count your steps as you leave the mine. It's outside, you blink against the sunlight. You are taller than the surrounding buildings. The sky is vast, empty. We're small in its presence. You walk silently with the others until you reach a small house on the outskirts of town. This is where you live with the other slaves. There's no privacy here, only shared rooms and beds made of straw. Eating is a silent affair. You take your thin porridge and maybe some bread and find a corner to eat. After that, you might sit for a while, too tired to talk, and then sleep comes, bringing with it dreams of fields and rivers and all the things you are missing. When you wake, you dress quickly and go back to the mine. As a slave in Rome, your life is harsh, unrelenting. The seasons change, but your routine does not. Summers bring blistering heat that beats down on you as you work. Winters bring cold winds that bite at your exposed arms and neck. In the mines, there's no shelter from the elements. It's only the rain. It falls on you, mixing with your sweat and turning your skin to a canvas of pain. The monotony is crushing, the isolation deafening. You work alongside men and women, but you do not speak to them. You do not dare. You are forbidden to plan escapes. You are forbidden to dream of rebellion. You are forbidden to hope for anything more than the next moment, the next hour, the next day. This is your life. But wait, hold on a second. I know what you're thinking. Wait a minute, isn't Spartacus supposed to come along at some point? Well, yes, he is. And his story is one of courage and defiance. It challenges everything we've talked about today. But his story, it's not the story of most slaves. He's the exception. The reality for most was the endless cycle of hard work, meager food, and relentless routine. Spartacus, he broke that cycle. He fought back. And for that, Rome punished him harshly. For now, we stay in the mines. We breathe the dust, feel the sting of sweat and the bite of cold. We know the taste of thin porridge and the ache of emptiness. This is our rhythm, the rhythm of the mines. And here we will remain until we choose to leave, until our story is done. And yeah, I do have to say, this has been kind of depressing, but I thought it would be good to cover this aspect of Roman life. I've covered the gladiators before, and I'm going to do a whole video on slavery and the slave trade later. And that one will be more infuriating. But I wanted to get the different aspects of slavery in ancient Rome, and I felt like starting at the worst part because the worst part is probably the mines and the silver mines in particular. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. Make sure to like this video if you liked it. Share it with your friends. Leave me a comment. I love reading your comments. They make my day. Like, seriously, they make my day. So thank you guys so much for doing that. I will see you in the next video. Before we begin, I have a question for you.
Bye.
Where were you when the world changed? Think about it. How can we understand history without understanding the experiences of those who lived it? How can we know what the past felt like without imagining ourselves in its rhythm? Well, today we're going to try. We are going to step into two pivotal moments in Roman history, guided by the questions that any human being might ask. Where were you? What were you doing, and what happened next? In our first scene, we begin amid the gentle cadence of servitude. Sunlight filters through olive branches, birds call from the fig tree, and a fountain trickles nearby. You are Amara, a young woman living in a Roman villa on the Bay of Naples. Your day begins as it always does, with tending to the household tasks. Baskets are woven, lamps are cleaned, sandals are mended. These are humble duties, yet you perform them with quiet pride. For you are the foundation of this house, your strong hands keeping it running. And while you toil, the mistress of the house, Cornelia, sits on the atrium floor, sorting letters with her scribe. Her fingers are slender, her linen shawl cool on her shoulders. There is the rustle of papyrus, the scratch of the stylus, and the soft murmur of voices. She reads aloud from one of the letters, "Marcus, my beloved, how do the preparations for the games proceed? Are the gladiators ready? Have the merchants arrived with exotic beasts? And is the amphitheater truly adorned as befits such a spectacle?" You look up from your work, aware of the word that carries meaning beyond the atrium walls. You know of the gladiators. You've heard the echo of their training, seen the hard sets of their muscles as they've carried wood. Though you've never seen a real fight, you can guess at their purpose. For in the grand house, there are no lions in cages, no poisonous snakes coiled near the bath. And if Cornelia loves watching such cruel things, where else could she find them? When evening comes, you will set out leftovers for the dogs and take water to the bath. Later, after everyone sleeps, you'll sit up with the other servants, sharing stories of home and dreams of freedom. Life here isn't terrible. But you think of the hands that made your sandals, the olives picked by your father before he sold them to pay your price, and wonder, What does freedom look like? And where were you when the world changed? The year is 71 BC. You've never heard of Spartacus. The word gladiator means simply one who fights. Outside the house, shadows stretch long and lean, hiding the figures of men training with swords and nets. Tonight, you'll watch Cornelia and her friends laughing, sipping wine, turning away from the violence of the games and talking of faraway lands, of Rome and its glories. That's when the first gladiator enters, stepping out of the darkness, holding a sword that gleams under the torchlight. He moves with a fluid grace that makes you catch your breath. Then the others come in, and for a brief moment, you forget where you are, forgetting the games, the crowds, the cruel spectacle. And you remember the men behind the masks, men with names and families and dreams. All around you, whispers rise. Is he beautiful, they say? Is he brave? You want to answer yes, but the words get lost in the back of your throat. Just then, the door opens, and Cornelia steps out, followed by a tall, handsome man. This is Titus Pulo, her companion. His eyes meet the gaze of one of the gladiators, and there's a flicker of recognition. Ah, you remember the stories the servants tell. The gladiator was once a soldier. He fought alongside Pulo in the Gallic Wars. Now he is here, shackled, preparing for death. You look from Titus Pulo to the gladiator, knowing that soon the two paths that crossed in war will converge here in the arena. The crowd roars as the gladiator takes his place, the sand swirling around him. You stand with the other spectators, sensing the gravity of the moment. But before the fight begins, you hear a horn blare from somewhere in the distance. People pause, confused. Is it a trumpet? No, it's too long. A horn call. Could it be? The sound grows louder, closer, and suddenly you see them. On the distant slope, figures appear, silhouetted against the sun. They're running, yes, but running from what? At first it looks like a gaggle of slaves who've escaped their masters. Some limp, some clutch wounds, and all seem desperate to put distance between themselves and the city. You exchange worried glances with Cornelia. Are they dangerous? Should you run? Then the horn blows again, and you see a banner unfurled above the running figures, a red cloak fluttering in the wind. The horn blares again, and the banner twists, revealing a symbol. You gasp, recognizing the emblem of the rebellion, the torch held high against the creeping darkness. So they are dangerous, yes, but why? Why should anyone fear them? That's when the first gladiator drops his wooden sword, walks away from the post he was supposed to be tied to, and turns toward the gate. The other gladiators follow suit. First they walk, hesitantly at first, and then faster, until they, too, are running down the slopes, joining the banner in the sky and the horn that calls them forward. Everyone is shouting now. The crowd presses close, straining to see. And you, clutching Cornelia's shawl, wonder what happens next. And that brings us to Spartacus, fierce fighter and improbable leader. He stands before his followers, not just a gladiator among slaves, but a warrior among warriors. Around him, men and women, young and old, listen intently, leaning forward, eager to hear his words. From his lips, they hear tales of battles won, strategies formed, and victories claimed. His voice, though bearing the marks of a difficult past, rings with conviction, urging them forward. Spartacus lays out his plans, outlining a path to freedom, daring to dream of a life beyond servitude. As he speaks, faces light up, eyes gleaming with hope. They nod, murmuring their agreement, acknowledging the path he offers. You can almost hear the beating of their hearts, feel the electricity in the air. Then the moment comes when Spartacus calls for action, beckoning them to march, to rise, to claim their freedom. He urges them onward, toward the mountains, toward safety, toward a new life. The crowd surges, driven by the desire for liberation, the promise of a better future. With Spartacus leading the way, they set off, their steps echoing their determination. And as you watch them go, you know that their journey, fraught with challenges, will forever change the course of their lives. The familiar landscape of their everyday existence fades as they disappear into the mountains, each step taking them further away from the shackles of their past. Their destination, though uncertain, holds the promise of a new beginning, a life unbound by the chains of slavery. The story of Spartacus resonates because it's a testament to the indomitable spirit of humanity. Even in the darkest moments, hope flickers, and the yearning for freedom burns brightly. The rebellion, though ultimately unsuccessful, serves as a reminder that the fight for liberation is a universal human struggle. Spartacus becomes a symbol of courage and resistance, inspiring generations to challenge oppression and strive for a better world. Meanwhile, Rome reels from the shock of the gladiator uprising. Powerful senators like Marcus Licinius Crassus grapple with the audacity of this challenge to their authority. They respond with force, marshaling the military might of the empire to crush the rebellion. However, as the fighting intensifies, the true extent of the crisis becomes apparent. The vastness of Spartacus's following exposes the cracks in Rome's seemingly invincible system. The narrative explores the lengths to which the Roman elite will go to maintain control, highlighting the brutality and ruthlessness that lie at the heart of their power. The clash between Spartacus and Crassus embodies the conflict between those who wield power and those who resist against their oppression. And lastly, the tragic end of Spartacus underscores the human cost of the struggle for freedom. His death serves as a sobering reminder of the sacrifices made in the pursuit of liberty. As we ponder these questions, we are challenged to reflect on the complexities of power, the resilience of the human spirit, and the enduring relevance of the fight for equality and justice. Spartacus, despite his ultimate fate, remains an iconic figure whose story continues to inspire movements for liberation and resistance against tyranny. His legacy serves as a beacon, reminding us that in the face of adversity, courage and solidarity can pave the way for profound change. And now we return to the present. If you enjoyed this episode, please remember to subscribe for more engaging historical tales, and we'd love to hear your thoughts. Where were you when the world changed? Let your voices echo through time. Share your comments below and join the conversation. Thanks for joining us today. And until next time, may the echoes of history guide you and inspire you to keep asking questions. From the brothels of New Orleans to the ballrooms of Versailles, a certain scene seems eternal. High society enjoying pleasures made possible by unseen servants. But let us go further back in history than French aristocrats or jazz-age flappers to the heart of ancient Rome. Here in the gilded palaces of the elite, archaeologists have reconstructed a world of marble, mosaics, and silver. But within these magnificent walls, a darker story unfolded. For every slave serving wine at a banquet or combing the hair of a noble lady, there were hundreds more toiling in obscurity, crafting the comforts of Roman opulence. Now, using the latest technology, we will pull back the curtains on the domestic slave economy of ancient Rome. We'll visit hidden corners of Roman homes and reveal the faces of the enslaved. We'll discover what archaeologists are uncovering about daily life behind closed doors and uncover shocking abuses of power. So buckle up for an explosive journey through the corridors of power where every step echoes with untold stories of those who shaped Roman greatness, but never claimed any of its glory. Now step with me through the portal of history, beyond the Colosseum and Senate House, into the world of ancient Rome's super-rich. Here among the elite, life revolved around the rhythm of banquets. They feasted on 5 courses, each served on 24-karat gold plates. Imagine the clinking of goblets echoing in marble halls, the murmur of conversation punctuated by bursts of laughter. Amidst this merriment, a symphony of flavors tantalized the palate. First came appetizers served on silver platters, delicacies like salted oysters or pickled snails. Then came the main courses, roasted meats, steaming seafood stews, and platters of ripe fruit. Each dish was a testament to the reach of the Roman Empire, bringing together ingredients from across the known world. Figs from Egypt, spices from India, and fish from the Atlantic. No expense was spared in the pursuit of pleasure. Servants flitted through the crowds, offering more wine from flagons or pouring sauces from ornate cruets. And presiding over this spectacle, often reclining on couches, were the aristocratic hosts. Men of the Senate, generals, and emperors basked in the glow of candlelight, their faces illuminated by the flicker of triumph. Each banquet was a celebration of power, a display of wealth, and a chance for forging alliances. Yet behind this glittering facade, a hidden cost lay concealed. While historians debate the total number of slaves in Rome, estimates suggest it reached 500,000, many acquired through conquests abroad. Enslaved men and women were stripped of their identities, becoming property, possessions to be bought, sold, and inherited, the spoils of war. booty divided among conquerors, human lives reduced to economic assets. Families were torn apart, cultures decimated. In the sprawling estates of the rich, entire households of slaves supported the luxurious lifestyles of the elite. Enslaved individuals served as personal attendants, chefs, tutors, and companions. They catered to the whims of their masters, anticipating their needs and ensuring their comfort. The weight of obedience rested heavily on their shoulders. Discipline was enforced through whippings and the constant threat of sale. Masters wielded power unchecked, able to punish as they pleased. Resistance could mean separation from loved ones, shackling, and the trauma of relentless toil. Despite the horrors lurking within these gilded walls, a flicker of humanity sometimes shone through. In rare instances, acts of kindness or generosity towards slaves hinted at the possibility of connection. Masters occasionally granted freedom to those they favored, a privilege bestowed as a reward or a last request on deathbed. Within the grand halls of Rome's elite, the story of slavery was etched in every shadow and every glance. But there's much more to uncover. Join me now as we venture into the hidden corners of Roman homes and shed light on the lives of the enslaved. We are now standing inside the ruins of a typical Roman domus, the grand house of a wealthy family. Sunlight streams through windows onto mosaic floors, revealing a layout designed for exclusivity. At the back, tucked away from public view, lies the cubiculum, or bedroom, of the enslaved. In stark contrast to the ornate bedrooms of the elite, this space is dimly lit and cramped, housing multiple individuals. Archaeologists discovered skeletons here, suggesting lifelong confinement. The walls bear scars of harsh treatment, scratched markings left by countless captives held within. Nearby, the triclinium, or dining room, awaits. Once the enslaved would have prepared meals here, far from the sumptuous feasts of their owners. The kitchen, too, was a world apart, lacking the luxury of running water. Instead, slaves fetched water from an external source, a task assigned based on gender. Male slaves might have toiled in other areas, tending gardens or workshops. Women, however, often bore the responsibility of household water collection. Archaeology reveals their vital yet overlooked roles. Prints of their footsteps, preserved in the hardened clay of ancient floors, offer a glimpse into their daily routines. Distinctive patterns of wear indicate frequent pathways, silently charting the course of their lives. In quieter corners, inscriptions carved into surfaces tell stories of longing and fleeting joys. The pangs of separation from loved ones are palpable in messages like "Lek Mich," "Curse you," expressing frustration and pain. Other carvings celebrate love found amidst drudgery, as in the touching plea, "I love my mistress." Such intimate gestures serve as poignant reminders of the humanity of the enslaved. Their capacity for love, loss, and resilience in the face of adversity. As we walk through these rooms, remember that each chamber was a stage for a drama played out across generations. In the atrium, where the shadows of columns danced in the sunlight, the elderly slave might have sat mending garments, their wrinkled hands moving with practiced grace. Nearby, young captives spun tales to wide-eyed children born into servitude, their voices weaving dreams of freedom in a world that offered little hope. This Roman home was not merely a monument to opulence, but a microcosm of imperial life, where the stories of the enslaved were integral to its fabric. Their presence echoed in the architecture, their labor resonated in the artifacts, and their spirits lingered in the whispers of wind through the ruins. And now, it's time for the most haunting part of our journey, the uncovering of shocking abuses of power. Within the secluded confines of the Roman cubiculum, the bedroom of the enslaved, a chilling tale unfolds. The discovery of shackles and chains embedded in the floor speaks volumes of the cruel realities of their existence. Here, human beings were confined and controlled, their movements restricted as if they were animals. These instruments of oppression, silently embedded in the very structure of the house, serve as a stark reminder of the brutality inflicted upon the enslaved. The mere suggestion of escape was met with swift and brutal punishment. Enslaved individuals were subjected to public whippings, a spectacle designed to strike fear into the hearts of captives. The agony inflicted upon them transcended physical pain, shattering their spirits and reinforcing their subjugated status. Furthermore, the vulnerability of women among the enslaved cannot be ignored. Roman elites often targeted enslaved women, subjecting them to sexual exploitation and abuse. These acts were not isolated incidents, but rather a systematic perversion of power. The violation of these women's bodies was a means of asserting dominance and control, reducing them to mere objects of gratification. Archaeological evidence uncovered in brothels frequented by Roman elites provides a glimpse into this dark chapter. Here, the lives of enslaved women were irrevocably altered, their dignity stripped away as they were forced into a world of sexual commerce. These disturbing practices were not mere aberrations, but chilling facets of a society where power and privilege knew no bounds. As we conclude our exploration of the hidden world behind Rome's majestic facade, consider the legacy of the enslaved. Their stories, often erased from history books, deserve our remembrance. Enslaved individuals were not just victims of circumstance, but agents of their own destinies. Acts of resistance, big and small, offer glimmers of defiance. Uprisings, though brutally suppressed, serve as testaments to the unbreakable spirit. The daily acts of defiance, from slowing down work to feigning ignorance, demonstrate the universality of the human struggle for agency. Their acts of resistance echo across the ages, reminding us that the fight for freedom knows no bounds. Today, their silenced voices find resonance in our ongoing battles for equality and justice. Every step forward in dismantling oppressive systems carries their memory with it, urging us to strive for a world where power does not corrupt and humanity prevails. If you enjoyed this episode, please show your support. Your engagement helps us keep these historical stories alive and brings them to a wider audience. Thanks for watching. Here, let us pause amidst the bustling energy of ancient Rome. The Colosseum roars with the clash of gladiators. The scent of popcorn and roasting meat hangs heavy in the air. Merchants hawk their wares in the forum, their voices competing with the clatter of chariots and the murmur of bartering. Amidst this vibrant chaos, take a moment to pull back the curtain, to peek beyond the grand facade and engage in a dialogue that echoes through time. In this sacred space, your voice matters, your perspective, no matter how small it may seem, contributes to a tapestry of understanding that weaves together the past and the present. What has resonated with you most about the heart of Rome? Perhaps it's the ingenuity and innovation that went into engineering marvels like the aqueducts, roads, or public buildings. Or maybe it's the echoes of human struggle and resilience that resonate through tales of daily life, conquests, and defeats. It might be the stirring drama of the Colosseum that captures your imagination, or the intricate dance of politics and power within the Senate. Whatever it is, we invite you to share it. Your thoughts have the power to ignite new perspectives, to deepen our collective understanding of this bygone era. What questions linger in your mind as we delve into the heart of Rome? What aspects of daily life intrigue you? What historical figures capture your interest, or what events leave you pondering? Your questions are the threads that bind our shared curiosity and guide us toward deeper exploration. Share them with us, and you might just spark an enlightening discussion that transcends time. What would you ask if you could speak directly to a Roman citizen about their daily life, beliefs, or experiences? How would you question a gladiator about their training, fears, or hopes? What advice would you give to a Roman leader about the challenges they face? Your hypothetical questions and answers serve as a bridge between centuries, allowing us to connect with the past on a more intimate level. Pose your queries, and perhaps you'll find echoes of your own time in their responses. Rome wasn't just an empire. It was a living, breathing testament to human ambition, innovation, and resilience. It was a place where the echoes of daily life mingled with the whispers of emperors and the roar of the Colosseum. So tell us, what resonates with you the most about the heart of Rome? What questions do you have for the citizens of this ancient world? Dive into the comments below and let your thoughts flow like the Tiber River through the heart of Rome. Your contributions are the mosaic pieces that form a richer, more vibrant picture of this ancient world. Share your insights, and let's continue this conversation across the ages. As the sun dips below the horizon, casting long shadows across the forum, the heart of Rome begins to stir. With the clatter of sandals on stone, shopkeepers prepare to close their stalls. Their wares put away until the morning light. Strolling through these winding streets, you can almost hear the echo of their voices bargaining with customers, sharing stories and jokes with passers-by. Each shuttered doorway hides a myriad of tales from the day. You might imagine the baker pulling a fresh loaf from his oven, the cobbler mending sandals by flickering lamplight, or the olive oil seller recounting seafaring adventures to his rapt audience. As twilight deepens, the sounds of daily life fade into the hush of evening. The Forum grows quiet, its bustling energy replaced by a peaceful calm. The stars begin to pepper the darkening sky. Mirroring the distant constellations Romans gazed upon millennia ago. Standing here, you're not just a tourist, but a time traveler, enveloped by the spirit of a bygone era. Its transformation from vibrant marketplace to tranquil evening tableau is a testament to the enduring charm of Rome. The city that never ceases to amaze, to inspire, and to captivate. And so, dear listener, our journey through Rome draws to a close. We began in the shadows of slavery, where the rhythm of life was one of labor and silence. We walked beside Spartacus, who, for a brief moment, broke that rhythm, only to meet the full force of Rome's power. We wandered the streets of Pompeii, hearing the echoes of ordinary lives preserved beneath ash. We reclined, if only in imagination, among the banquets of the patricians, where wealth was displayed as effortlessly as wine was poured. Across all these scenes, one theme endures. Rome's greatness was not sustained by marble alone, nor by emperors and generals, but by the countless hands that worked unseen. The empire's splendor rose from foundations of labor, endurance, and sacrifice, often unacknowledged by history's grand accounts. As you reflect on this, consider the quiet contrast to your own life. No chains bind your rest, no endless labor waits in the dawn. You recline freely, not as a guest at a patrician's feast, but in the comfort of your own space. Where Roman slaves endured dust, heat, and silence, you now rest in safety, listening only to the calm unfolding of history. Welcome back, my friends, to another session of Traveling Through Time. As the sun dips below the horizon, we find ourselves back on the familiar ground of modern Rome. Around us, the city awakens to a new evening, the same as countless others before it. Laughter spills from trattorias, street lamps begin to glow, and the first stars peek through the twilight. But let's pause for a moment. Let's close our eyes and listen. Can you hear it? Beneath the city's lively hum, there's a deeper sound, a subtle echo from centuries past. It's the lingering whisper of the Roman Empire, the very pulse of the ancient city still beating faintly in the 21st century. Dear listener, we've journeyed back in time to explore the grandeur and grit of the Roman Empire. From the gladiatorial combats of the Colosseum to the bustling markets of the Forum, we've walked in the footsteps of emperors and commoners alike. But now it's time to return to our own time. Slowly open your eyes. As you do, let the images of ancient Rome fade like a dream. Remember the faces you saw, the stories you heard, and the emotions that filled you as you explored the eternal city's heart. Take a deep breath. Feel the cool night air on your skin, the gentle breeze carrying the scent of modern Rome. You're back here. Now, present in this moment, yet forever changed by your journey through time. Before we part ways, my friends, let's reflect on what we've experienced together. We've seen the might of the Roman legions and felt the thundering roar of chariots racing through the Circus Maximus. We've strolled through the vibrant streets of Pompeii, frozen in time by the eruption of Mount Vesuvius. And we've marveled at the intricate engineering of the aqueducts that once supplied the city with fresh water. Most importantly, we've met the people who made Rome great. From the ambitious Julius Caesar to the enslaved people whose lives were irrevocably altered by the empire's reach. As you step back into the light of modern-day Rome, carry a piece of this ancient world within you. Let the spirit of adventure guide you in your everyday life, and may the lessons of history inspire you to be a force for good in your own time. Remember, you have the power to shape your own destiny. Just as the leaders of ancient Rome once shaped an empire that would influence the course of Western civilization. And so, dear listener, our journey through Rome draws to a close. We began in the shadows of slavery, where the rhythm of life was one of labor and silence. We walked beside Spartacus, who, for a brief moment, broke that rhythm, only to meet the full force of Rome's power. We wandered the streets of Pompeii, hearing the echoes of ordinary lives preserved beneath ash. We reclined, only in imagination among the banquets of the patricians, where wealth was displayed as effortlessly as wine was poured. Across all these scenes, one theme endures. Rome's greatness was not sustained by marble alone, or by emperors and generals, but by the countless hands that worked unseen. The empire's splendor rose from foundations of labor, endurance, and sacrifice, often unacknowledged by history's grand accounts. As you reflect on this, consider the quiet contrast to your own life. No chains bind your rest, no endless labor waits in the dawn. You recline freely, not as a guest at a patrician's feast, but in the comfort of your own space. Where Roman slaves endured dust, heat, and silence, you now rest in safety, listening only to the calm unfolding of history. It's time to wake from our journey through the heart of ancient Rome. As you open your eyes, you're greeted by the familiar sights and sounds of your own time and place. The journey through Rome's history has come to an end, but the echoes of its grandeur and grit still resonate within you. The Forum, the Colosseum, the Pantheon, these iconic landmarks are not merely ruins frozen in time. They're living testaments to a civilization that thrived, struggled, and ultimately left an indelible mark on our world. The story of Rome is a tapestry woven with threads of ambition, conquest, innovation, and yes, exploitation, oppression, and decay. As you move through your day, let the lessons of Rome's rise and fall guide your steps. Be inspired by the ingenuity and resilience of a civilization that dared to dream big, yet also confront the shadows of its past. A reminder that even in moments of triumph, it's essential to strive for justice, equality, and compassion for all. Rome may lie in the past, but its wisdom, like the Tiber River, flows into the currents of our modern world. The echoes of its triumphs and struggles resonate in the halls of power, in the hearts of dreamers, and in the timeless quest for a better future. If you found this experience enriching, please don't hesitate to share your feedback in the comments. Your support means the world to us, and if our paths cross again, know that more adventures through time await. Until then, keep exploring, keep questioning, and above all, keep dreaming. For in the grand tapestry of time, we are all connected by the stories we tell and the journeys we take. And so, our journey through the heart of the Roman Empire comes to an end. I hope you've enjoyed walking the streets of ancient Rome alongside me, experiencing its triumphs and tragedies firsthand. But remember, history doesn't end at the borders of any empire. It continues to unfold with each passing moment. If you found this experience thought-provoking, please don't hesitate to leave a comment or a like. And if you're eager for more such adventures, subscribe so you never miss out when we set off on our next exciting expedition through time.